Welcome to the Sports Business Classroom audio experience with Ruben Barraza. In today's episode, I got the chance to speak with Ruben Barraza, the founder and owner of MajorWavez Lab. MajorWavez is a shoe design company that gives people a chance to sit down with professionals and create and customize their own pair of kicks. Ruben takes us through his life journey where he started out in retail. And during that time, Ruben was able to learn from top designers like Salehi Bembury and grow his knowledge of designing shoes. He built his business up for the past 6 years while creating his own lane of shoes in the sneaker community and has worked with numerous brands such as Nike, Foot Locker, and the NBA, as well as numerous artists like Kodak Black, Tyga, Young Thug, and A$AP Rocky. Ruben's business has expanded across different states and provides consumers with a new experience in creating their own shoes and becoming an artist themselves. I was personally interested in talking to Ruben because of his background in fashion and the passion he shares while creating art out of footwear. Not everyone has a linear path in life, including sports. We have seen the evolution of off-the-court opportunities for players in different areas in business, but something that has become a staple in today's game, and it happens before even players hit the court: the infamous tunnel photos. From the fits to the lenses taking the photos, every game is a chance for fans globally to see players express themselves. Hi, my name is Alicia Solomon, and I'm an SBC Alumni class of 2021. As someone who transitioned into a new career, SBC expanded my idea of possibilities in the realm of sports. In this series, we'll explore how fashion and photography intersect to allow creativity in sports. I'm so excited for you guys to listen along on this journey, and hopefully you can take away some insightful tips from the professionals. So, without further ado, let's talk to the man himself, Ruben Barraza.
Yeah, so I'm originally from San Diego. And I went to school in the Bay. I've always kind of had like a passion for sneakers. Would literally buy shoes, restore them. Back in the day, it was like I didn't really customize. I restored like older pairs of shoes. That was kind of my hobby. And before you knew it, I went to school, graduated, worked retail, worked at like True Religion and Urban Outfitters, and I actually ended up making a shoe for an artist he's actually a designer named Salehi, which gave me the opportunity. He actually worked for Yeezy, like the boot department, Yeezy Boot Season 2. And then he became he's iconic. He did like stuff for Versace. He did like the 2 Chain Reaction shoe. He did the Salehi Croc shoe. That's probably the most common one. And before you knew it, he gave me the opportunity to work for A$AP. And I would actually do similar workshops of what I do now, but in a smaller scale. And it just kind of took over my life. I remember when I told my parents, hey, I'm going to quit my job, went to school for it, and I'm going to start customizing shoes. My pops is in the Navy. Yeah. My mom has her own business, and they're like, that sounds like a hobby.
So were you a sneakerhead growing up? So did you collect anything, or did you just like to restore shoes?
Yeah, I mean, I collected like Pokemon cards, anything kind of, even old action figures and shoes, right? I collected all the brand new shoes that my mom would buy me and whatnot, or whatever she could afford at the time. But I also really like to buy the old Jordans, and maybe they have a crumbled sole or whatever. I'd restore them and then I'd resell them.
Nice. So when did it become, like your mom said, a hobby into a business?
I think when I started to ask for a few days off, because I was falling behind on orders, or when I realized I was pulling all-nighters. I was a store manager to a regional manager, so it was I was busy, right? I had a full-time job, salary. It wasn't I could just hang out, or I couldn't just show up. And so I would pull all-nighters and stuff, and I was I really like doing this. I want my own business. I never thought it was going to be custom shoes. I thought it was going to be maybe retail. I was that weird guy who took the retail real serious. It was my business. And I was that annoying manager. And so it kind of just, I think as soon as I realized I was making more money doing custom shoes than I was at my salary job, when it was consistent for 3 to 4 months, I was all right, I think now I can, I can either like go full in or I could just continue doing what I do. And I just went full in.
Nice. So where does the name MajorWavez Lab come from?
Okay. Yeah, that's so funny because everyone says it. When I tell them I'm from San Diego, they're like, Major Waves sounds like a surf company from San Diego. And it kind of
Sounds
does.
like a DJ.
Yeah, yeah. I think there's one called like Major Laser, right? There's
Yeah.
or something. So literally, so before I used to sell vintage clothes a little bit too. And my name was Vintage Waves. Okay. Like vintage and then waves, I guess like cool. And
Yeah.
in high school, like I played sports and stuff. And I remember everybody would say like, that's major or like anything that was cool. So I was like, I'm just going to put like, as my business kept growing and I wasn't selling vintage anymore, I was selling a whole bunch of customs with the name Vintage Waves. And I was like, that's just not right. So I was like, let me put major in front of it. And then it'd be like Major Waves. And then that stuck. And I felt like when I started making merch and stuff like that, people would buy it. And like, I liked the name. So then I was like, okay. And then of course, when like I started the Build-A-Bear classes of like the workshops, I was like, I could either do like shoe classes or I could just like leave my name and then put like the lab. So that's kind of like exactly where it came from. So it's like me as an artist, like our lab. So MajorWavez Lab. And that's like our little Build-A-Bear of like custom shoes.
Nice. So how long have you been in business?
So I've been doing customs for about like 6 years, like as like a full-time job. And like content creation, stuff like that for different brands. And then for the lab, it's been about like 2.5 years now. We've been I'm in the original one in LA. So it's been 2.5 years here. We have another location in LA too. That one's been probably like a year and like 8 months, almost 2 years. And then we have Vegas, which is almost at a year and a half. I think it's like 13, 14 months of business.
Nice. So what was that transition like going from LA to Vegas?
Okay, so LA was like, we made TikToks and we had business, right? So I was like, okay, I can make TikToks. All right, I'll do it in Vegas. And when we got to Vegas, I like was like, there's no one else that does this. Where, Vegas, everybody wants an experience. Like, we're gonna kill it. The first like 3-4 months, I was like, wait a minute, like we were super slow. And like I really learned like just because like there's not another sneaker spot like this doesn't mean like it's gonna be easy. Cause like everyone would always have like something else, right? Like, oh, if I didn't have dinner reservations, if I didn't have this party to go to or whatever it was. And I was like, dang, like how do we fix that? And like figuring that out was probably the hardest part because we were doing TikToks and it just wasn't the same, completely two different markets. And the way it worked was like turning into that like candy bar kid and like handing out like flyers, like old fashioned marketing, like on the strip. Like, hey, I like your shoes. Or like, hey, you and your girl walking by, I have a perfect date idea. But yeah, like that's kind of what switched it. And then before you knew it, it kind of just kept going. But yeah, it was hard at first. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, that's a different market and a jump. And like you said, between LA and Vegas, the clientele is so different. So even though your business is thriving, it's interesting to see how you had to market yourself differently in Vegas rather than someplace like LA. So with a company like yours, why is it important to you to have your customers create their own shoes?
Yeah, I think so. As like an artist, a lot of people don't really like kind of talk about it. But in general, as I would do custom shoes, I don't really do customs as much anymore. I do like here and there, like one of ones. I used to do like a whole bunch, right? Like not like bulk, but like a good amount. And it would just kind of get like repetitive for me doing it, right? And like I would be in my kitchen doing my own shoes, but kind of lonely, right? And I come from retail. I want to talk to people. So I kind of started like not liking to do the customs anymore. And I was like, how could I turn it into like something else, but like still be like a creative and like also teach people how to do something like this. And so like it just kind of like turned into that, right? Where we like run the workshops. People could literally start either like come in here for a perfect date idea, do something completely different, or like start their own business and actually learn, right? Like some people come in here and they're like, hey, I really want to learn how to sew. I want to sew my whole shoe. And even if it comes out bad, like I want to like keep it because like I really want to turn into like a shoe customizer or a shoe designer. And then even like there's other people too that like will come in and they'll be like maybe like a wallet or like a bag, maybe from like their passed away like grandma or grandpa, and they like repurpose that bag and turn it into a shoe. And it's like to see like the look on their face of like what they're doing and they're turning something that like that means so much to them into something like more valuable than just a shoe. Like it's really cool. It's like rewarding to see that.
That's nice. So how do you keep your prices lower in a market where we've seen the reseller market go from like such a difference in 2015 to 2020 and people upcharging, and how it's changed even now in 2023 with the market being in flux? How do you keep your prices the way they are in a market like this?
Yeah, no, that's good. Good. I know. I mean, some shoes are crazy, right? Some of them are like 2,000,
10,000, 2,000, 10,000. Yeah.
Yes, I would say like in general, right? The thing that like is perfect with us is like, say the shoes that don't do good, right? Those are mainly like the shoes people are bringing in. So say like a shoe is maybe like a green and white, and there's just like the green is just kind of off, or you know, usually it's like by season, right?
Yeah.
If it's like towards like December and they drop like a pastel pink shoe, like it's not really a trend. Like maybe for summer, but it's pastel. So they'll bring that in and we could literally paint it, right? So most people bring in a white Air Force One, right? Or an Air Force One that maybe has like some weird colors on it that they're going to paint all white or add fabric. So that's like how we really keep our stuff kind of like more affordable. We give the people like the option to just bring in their own shoe. They could go and shop by like an outlet, or they could, you know, even use an old shoe. But that's literally how we keep our prices low. I think by finding like a hidden gem that you could literally change. Like people will come in with an all black Air Force One and they could literally wrap it with all white leather and turn it white if they wanted to. So it doesn't matter what color it is. And then like, that's cool too. Cause like it's eye opening. Like you literally can create like anything in our classes.
That's dope. So I want to transition a little more into you. You said you're from San Diego. Did you play any sports growing up? Did you play basketball? Like what was your thing growing up?
Yeah. So I actually played freshman ball as like an 8th grader.
Okay. What position?
So I really liked, I played shooting guard. I wanted to play point guard, but I didn't ever play that. And so, yes, I played that. And then I played corner in high school. I actually ended up liking like football low key, like a lot more than basketball, although I never thought I would. And yeah, so I played those two sports, and I also played a little bit of a baseball, but I was like, I was left field. I was pinch runner. Like I wasn't good.
I'm glad you have that inside that you know that this wasn't my thing.
Yeah.
Some people don't know. But do you have a favorite team? Do you have a favorite player?
Yeah, I mean, I would say since I'm from San Diego, like basketball wise, my pops like the Lakers, so I would always be like, okay, that's the closest team. Football, I mean, the Chargers, although they're not San Diego anymore, just because they were.
Right. Yeah.
But yeah, and then I'd say in general, not to be like cliche or whatnot, but it's like Michael Jordan. I like LeBron James, like Kobe, like all the iconics. I don't watch as much like sports as I used to. So like, I feel like I'm kind of out of the loop, but like, I tune in for game 6.
Nice. So I'm going to transition to you being a vendor last year at Summer League. What was that like and how did that come about?
Yeah, no, that was awesome. That was our first time working with like Nike and the NBA. And like Carol and Albert, like shout out to them. They really like made it happen. But it was awesome. Like they did like a whole backdrop. I remember like I sent an artwork and then they had a backdrop like printed, and like that was kind of like the first time I ever had someone do that. Like usually I do all my stuff. And I remember I felt like, I was like, oh my gosh, I'm in the NBA. And so like in general, like it was really cool. We met a lot of people. I met Sharif. and I had sent him some shoes before, so it was cool to like actually meet him, you know. And then I met Roy Woods, which is like one of my favorite artists. Actually ended up making some shoes for him. And like he ended up having a show, wore them, and like invited a whole team. He was like super awesome. He was a nice guy. And in general, just like to see everyone's like designs. Like we usually do like ours is like a date idea. Ours is like I always say like we're like a dad drop off zone. Like a lot of dads get like gifted. But at Summer League, there was a lot of kids too, and like it was cool to see like what they kind of wanted on their shoe, and like having that come to life. I think it was a lot of fun for sure. I met a lot of cool people, and like to see like everyone being at the NBA Summer League and having like I would think everybody wanted like an NBA shoe, but it was like mixed. So people are like, I want the Lakers colorway, I want like a SpongeBob drip colorway, and it's like okay, like so it was cool to see.
And have you done any pop-ups before or sneaker events prior to doing Summer League?
Yeah. So I did like Made in America with Puma. I've done like different like shoe brands and stuff like that. I've done like JD Sports, Sneaker Con, Thrift Con, Complex Con. So like we were familiar with all like with like events, but we had never done anything with NBA or Nike. So it was like a big stepping stone.
Nice. And what did that connection bring to you even further? Like you said, you met your favorite artist in Roy Woods, you met Sharif, and you sent him shoes prior. So like what other business did it bring to you where it's just like people have eyes on you at Summer League, they see you out in the concourse, making shoes?
Yeah, no, a lot of people would actually go into the store, and I would like, it was kind of slow, like I said, right? So I was trying to really figure it out. People would be like, hey, I saw you on TV. Like, I want to take the class. So it brought a lot of local and a lot of like business to the store for sure, which was definitely like in need, right? Because our business was pretty slow at first. And then on top of that, like in general, I feel like I ended up getting more brand deals and different like, kind of like corporate companies and stuff would reach out to me. After that, we ended up working with Foot Locker and Nike again. So we did something with them for like Air Max Day. And then like we ended up getting a couple projects like with other like customizing. We did like, I think we did some Sonic stuff for Netflix. We did a bunch of cool stuff. I mean, we even ended up doing like the boxer shoes too. We did some boxer shoes. So like Ryan Garcia shoes and stuff like that. So like, it's just trickled on to like more relationships that are not just like a one and done. It's like, we just constantly keep working, and it's like awesome. Like wake up, check an email, and I'm like, wait, what? Is this real? And yeah, it's just been kind of going. But we do like TikToks and reels and everything of all of our stuff on like the lab. And we have it in our highlights too. So like, it's kind of like, it's like a moment that lives forever.
Nice. So what has been the biggest lesson that you've learned so far being in business?
I would say location. Location's important. And yeah, I mean, there's been a lot. I would say like location, and then just like having, training and developing, and like always like checking in on your team, like as a leader. Like I would say I come from retail. So I've always had like a big team. But I've noticed that like just in general, like going and opening, like we did like retail suicide, 3 stores in a year. And I would go back and forth. And I know that like when I'd give the Vegas location, the attention, then I'd come back, and then I'd like kind of forget about the LA team because they were okay. It's like I had to be like a little bit more like on my head kind of, like I don't have anyone telling me anything. So I'd be like, I have to check up on my team. Like my team, like it could get really overwhelming, and like this is my business and I love it, but I love my team too. So I gotta have to like, make sure that I'm checking in on them. But yeah, team is everything. And then location for sure. We had a store that we're moving. We had a store in like, it was Northridge Mall. So it's like in the Valley. And that mall did really good. It did. But like in general, there's another mall that's a little bit better, I would say, that's like a little higher end. So it did take a lot of our clientele, I felt like. So we're moving that one to, it's called Glendale Galleria, which is a better mall. But I think just like being eager and excited, I was like, we can do it. But yeah, I think those are like the two main things.
Nice. And what advice do you have anyone that's in the fashion, sports, or creative industry?
I mean, I would say like I came from retail. I like they didn't really know what I was doing. I mean, I went to school for business, but like it's different when you're doing it. It's like at first when I started, I was like, I can do it all. I'll do the accounting. I'll do this. I'll do that. And like it's like it's a lot more than it is. And but it's like not impossible, right? So like I'd say like I truly believe it's like if you speak it out, like you say it to existence, like it's gonna happen. I'm like the living proof of it because I literally always say like everything. I'm like, I'm gonna get something with Nike. Like we're gonna have a store in Vegas, and like it always happens. So I would say like if you have like like fashion and like sports and everything, they tie in so well together that I feel like if you want to branch off and do your own brand, if you want to branch off and make your own shoe, if you want to do like anything related into fashion, I feel like sports and that like pair really well. And just like believe in it and like speak it into existence. And you could, I mean, if I can do it, like anybody can do it.
Nice. And what's next for Major Waves coming up this summer, going into the next quarter, next second half of 2023?
Yeah, so a lot of cool stuff. So we're moving our second LA location to Glendale. And then we're looking at a spot in Miami. So we're going to possibly open a Miami one. We've done a lot of pop-ups like for Art Basel and shoe events and stuff. And they're like amazing. Like the turnout is crazy. So we're gonna be out there. And then so prior I would do like tech packs and stuff like that. Like when I kind of mentioned that like I did work for ASAP and stuff like that. So we're actually making our own shoe that I'm excited to like kind of like show. I don't have anything yet, but I've been working on it for like a year and a half. So I'll be having my own shoe that'll be dropping. And just like, I think just like there's a lot of cool things that I can't talk about yet, but like stuff working with like different brands and like, like Foot Locker and JD Sports. So like working on that back end part where the business used to be just like, hey, it's Build-A-Bear, bring your own shoe though. We don't have licensing. Now it's like, we do have like the licensing. Now we're like actually having that structure where it's like actually turning, to the real like business structure, which I've been working on the back end forever. And it's just cool. It's cool to see, my part-timers that would intern and maybe work 8 to 12 hours a week to now hosting events all the time. And they're like, this is cool. We're working 30, 40 hours a week. And my team slowly grew from, I think it was originally 2 people. And now we're like at 11 people. And it's kind of crazy. It's like, it's a lot of payroll. I'm kidding.
Yeah, when you're a boss, you have to realize that you have to, help other people's dreams come true. So I really love this story, and I'm definitely happy to see your growth and where you started and just learning about your business. Do you want to plug yourself? Where can people find you? You have a few stores out there. Where can people find you on social media? Let the people know.
Yeah. For sure. Yeah. So on Instagram, I go by MajorWavez as an artist with 2 Z's. And then our like Build-A-Bear classes are MajorWavez Lab. We have one store I'm in the Eagle Rock location. So it's like Eagle Rock, kind of Glendale area. Our Glendale Galleria area is going to be open in September. So we have one location currently in LA, and then we have our second or third location in Las Vegas. So that's going to be in Fashion Show Mall on like the 2nd floor by Louis Vuitton. I know everyone always wonders where it's at in there. And yeah, all of our socials are the same thing. Same with our TikTok, MajorWavez and MajorWavez Lab. And now I'm excited to like, I mean, we're going to be doing like Summer League today or this year too. So I'm excited to show you guys like all the creations and literally like, I appreciate everyone from Albert and Carol and everyone that's been supporting us, because without like everybody, I mean, we wouldn't be here.
Awesome. Thank you, Ruben, so much for joining me today. I loved hearing your story. And if anyone's going to Vegas, please go to Ruben's booth out in Vegas, get your own shoe, create your own vibe. I think it's dope. So thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you for chatting. Take care.
All right. Take care. Wow. What a story. Thank you so much to Ruben for taking the time to hop on with us and providing more insight on how he's built his brand and grown in the world of fashion and shoe design. One thing I found interesting was how he was able to leverage his past position as a retail manager to become a business owner. Also, the transition to owning multiple stores across the country and his business having to adapt to the new cities while still keeping the same Major Waves mantra. Then lastly, the opportunity he's providing consumers in the process of creating their own shoe is awesome and a great way to incorporate all types of people to want to create art within the footwear industry. You can find the show notes and links to everything from our conversation at sportsbusinessclassroom.com/podcast. And you can connect with Ruben via his social channels at MajorWavezLab on Instagram and also MajorWaves with 2 Z's on Instagram and TikTok. That'll do it for this week's episode. I'll see you next time here on the Sports Business Classroom audio experience.